Welcome along to another CrossFit Llanelli podcast, and we're straight into it this month with Mr. Sams. Hello.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for having me.
And well, indeed, thank you for being willing to turn up. We're going to be speaking about something which some people might think is a controversial thing for us to be chatting about, but I don't think it's controversial at all, and that is CrossFit and HYROX. Now,
We'll split some opinions here.
yeah, I think everybody will have an opinion, and the vast majority of people will be on one of either end of the spectrum. But let's lay our cards on the table. I'm someone who has done HYROX twice, and you've recently just done it in Cardiff.
Yep.
How was the experience of doing HYROX? What did you think? As someone who's competed in lots of different CrossFit events, if we were just speaking about it in terms of turning up and doing the event, how would you rate it?
So I think you can rate it probably in different aspects. So as a one-off event in the venue, awesome. Like it's in the Principality, lots of people are spectating. It was a bit of an atmosphere walking in, for the spectacle. Comparing it to CrossFit events, it's just different. It's just different. You go in there for one long slog, whereas the CrossFit competition, you go in there for multiple events. You're there for the day, and you're invested for the day. Whereas HYROX, you can just turn up. You know your start time. You know it's going to take you hour and a half, whatever the case is, hour 45, and you'll be done and dusted. But yeah, no, it was good. It was good. I enjoyed it. I had mixed feelings. If I was to do it again, I'd probably go to pair. That's probably something else we're going to talk about. But yeah, it was good. It was good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think my experience of it when I did it first time in the XL is it genuinely was like a couple of rungs up from any other competitions I'd taken part in, be that CrossFit competitions or local runs, kind of, what do you call them? Obstacle course
Yeah,
race,
yeah,
things like that.
yeah.
It was.
I think I'd agree with that.
It
It's
was.
probably it is probably a step up, isn't it?
Yeah, it felt like something that you'd paid more than 100 quid to do rather than something you'd paid 25
Yeah,
quid to do. Does that make sense?
and yeah, that's got to be because of just the amount of volume of people they're getting in, the amount of money they're making from it. They can put on that big show, and I think it's just drawing more and more people in, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, let me, let's, having said that now, let's wade into the controversy, if indeed there is a controversy. Let me just paint the picture of the two ends of the spectrum. You've probably got some folks who are, HYROX is the best thing that's ever been invented. I've been doing CrossFit as a placeholder, really, but this is where I find my calling. This is where I find my niche. CrossFit needs to stop, and everyone just needs to start doing HYROX. That's one end. The other end would be, this is stupid. All it is running. It's pretending to be CrossFit, but it's not constantly varied, so it's a waste of time. And any CrossFitter that does it should have their membership revoked. They should be banned from the open, and that should be the end of it. So, like, I'm obviously stating them in really strong ways.
Yeah.
But what's your take on HYROX?
I think I'm pretty much down the middle. So I think it's for me, it's a good test of your fitness. Do you have to do HYROX specific training to do a HYROX? No, you don't. Can CrossFit carry you through it? 100%. You can just see it as a long workout. We do Murph, don't we? That can take us around the hour 15, hour 20, hour and a half, whatever the case is. So we can still work in that same time domain, which is probably a little bit alien for us at times because we usually work around the 20, 30 to 40 minutes. And as soon as we start going over the 40 to 45 minutes, it starts to become unknown territory. But our fitness that I think we do through CrossFit carries us through what the HYROX workout is. Do you have to do one or the other? No. I think if you want to get the best bang of your buck, I think CrossFit probably gives you the best training for it. But if you want to be good at HYROX and you want to chase that competitive time, I think we've chatted this before. You've got to put a little bit of specific training into it. So if you were going to play rugby and you wanted to get better at rugby, then yeah, CrossFit's going to be brilliant for rugby. It's going to give you that borderline fitness. But if you want to be good at rugby, you're going to have to do the skill-specific stuff as well. So for HYROX, that is just up and you're running.
Mm.
You're going to need, if you want to be really competitive, I reckon you've got to do like 70k of running a week, something around those numbers. And that's just something as CrossFitters we just don't really do it. We run, but we don't run to that volume.
Indeed. And even like the folks who would run that sort of volume, or even approaching any volume, like 5k a week, 10k a week, would be a pretty niche subset of general CrossFitters and CrossFit Llanelli members. So you said in there, you think it's a good test of fitness, and I don't want to like pick up on it too much, but it's an interesting way of describing it, because I still think one of the general thoughts that we have is that fitness is aerobic primarily, and that is like an anti statement to CrossFit. That fitness is broader than that.
Yes.
So that there is like a sense in which we do have this tendency to think of people who can run a long way quickly, who could do a triathlon. They're the fit guys, or even playing sports. So like I have tended to play.
Do you think then HYROX is trying to find the fittest person, or just the best time for that event? You could probably have the same conversation about triathlon and stuff like that, can you?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think you just find the fastest person on the day.
Yeah, when the parameters are like narrowed that much, like in popular usage, I do think it is like a fitness race, and they are finding fit people. But one of the things that CrossFit has done has come in and defined fitness in a broader sense, but also a more specific sense, which definitely isn't the case. And as you were speaking about the training for, if you're going to do rugby, CrossFit is great for building this base fitness, but to excel at the sport, you've got to do sport-specific training, like the skills training. There's a sense in which you can say, well, if you really want to be good at HYROX, the skill is running well.
Yeah, 100%.
Which, again, is just like a weird thing. You don't think of running as the skill, but when it's that specific in the sport or the event, then it is, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. So like from my experience from it, the stations were okay. So the CrossFit tied me through that completely. It was just the running held me back, just because even though I've been running, I've been following the running twice a week the last 10 weeks before it. It's just you need that up to that volume even more so just to get that time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think it is about HYROX that has drawn so many people in?
For me, I think it's just because it's achievable. I think you can be somebody who's not in the gym at the moment and doesn't do very little. I think within 6 to 10 weeks in the gym, training quite regular, 3-4 times a week, you can get to achieve and finish a HYROX race. Compare that to CrossFit. If you don't do much, I think if you were to jump in a CrossFit comp after 6 weeks, I think you'd get a different feel from doing a CrossFit competition after 6 weeks of training, from doing not much, into a HYROX. So I think that is why it's gone so popular. It's because it looks achievable. It's only running. It's only a row, a sled push, a sled pull. There's nothing high skill that can put us off.
Yeah.
Like from listening to podcasts that you put up before, people people go to the gym and where are you going in the gym because they think they're all with all these animals who swing off rings and throw heavy weights around, but obviously we know that's not true. That's not everybody in the gym. But I think that's what draws people to the HYROX stuff, is that it's just achievable, and it's easily done compared to CrossFit stuff.
Yeah, so it's got a low barrier to entry, and it's like that idea of I might not be able to do it well, but there's at no point in this event where I'm going to have to stop and say I can't do anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas
the skill stuff is there, then the pull-ups, the things that can put people off sometimes, especially from a competing element. So not saying training, just that type of competition. And if somebody might do HYROX once, and that'll be it. very similar to I'm going to run a 10K, I'm going to run a half marathon, I'm going to set my goal to do with that. I think HYROX can be quite similar.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people out of the thousands did it in Cardiff the weekend. I don't know how many people would say I'll do another one, or how many people were tick done. I've achieved my goal.
Yeah. Mm. So you mentioned that you might be tempted to do it again as a double or a pair.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I heard you in the gym saying that you were really interested in, knocking a couple of minutes off and like every year having another dip, having another go. So why is it not grabbed Rhys Samuel by the like
I'm
and drawn you in?
CrossFit through and through. My personality is quite competitive, as you probably guessed. Um, so for me to be competitive in that, I'd have to sacrifice too much CrossFit, and I just love CrossFit too much, basically. But to do a pairs, which I would be interested in, maybe, is sharing the workload and not having to worry about blowing up so much, knowing that you can have some prescribed rest when somebody else takes a bit of the weight. I think that's extremely achievable to being competitive whilst doing CrossFit and not having to commit and lose some of the CrossFit stuff to make up on the running.
Yeah. So for you then it would be like what you would have to give up CrossFit wise in order to accumulate that volume and that time just
Yeah,
running to get good at that aspect of it. And
that's
it's about
that's just not worth it.
50% of your final time is your run time, isn't it, for a high rock? So
Yeah,
it
that's
is that
correct. Yeah,
significant.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just not worth it. Just not worth it. Just I love the CrossFit stuff. For me, it was just a test of fitness, something fitness to do. So seeing what my fitness has gained from CrossFit and what yes, basically what I've got from doing CrossFit and how my fitness carries me through doing an event that's a little bit out of my comfort zone, I suppose.
Hmm. Um, so you've just sparked a thought for me there, and this probably I don't think anything we've said is controversial so far.
Mhm.
And I made up a little bit of controversy regarding it, but I'm wondering whether for folks who are CrossFitters already being drawn into it, so not just general population, CrossFit or HYROX, I want to start moving, what should I do? HYROX seems like the most accessible one. But like, I wonder whether there is something just in terms of that low barrier of entry that already having some sort of base fitness and being able to replace um, like weight training, like progressive overloads on weight training, replace skills training upside down on the rigs, trying to do your progressions to get certain things. That HYROX then just feels like I am getting fitter and I can prove my fitness or even like if I take this as my test of fitness, improve my fitness. And I don't have to stress about double unders. I don't have to stress about muscle ups. I don't have to stress about handstand walking, which are going to be things which limit your fitness if you're measuring it on like a CrossFit scale.
Yeah, maybe. I think you might have a small group of people, if I think I understand what you're saying, that instead of persevering and learning the hard skills because they will get frustrated over. They might go, "Oh, this is something I might fancy doing." Do it, get it achievable, and then go. It's a little bit of the easy way out, and not persevering with the skill. But I think what gets people hooked on the CrossFit stuff is learning that skill. So
Mm.
is grinding at those skills, the pull up, the double unders, the wall walk, handstand walk, and then getting it. There's no greater feeling than getting that first bar muscle up, first double under, first handstand walk, few meters, doing under fatigue, just keep chasing that goal. And I don't think you'd get that at HYROX. I think that's far more rewarding, is getting those skills than just completing the
Right.
HYROX.
Yeah, absolutely.
For me, that's what gets me hooked on the CrossFit is chasing those wins there.
And so there's a greater variety of milestones really in
Mm,
CrossFit than there could ever be in HYROX. I mean,
yeah.
you think like if your time is around 60 minutes, 70 minutes, 80 minutes, you've got like that next barrier to come down. Probably no one realistically is going to come down to 10-minute increments. So you've kind of got maybe one of those. You've got maybe a switch from open weights to pro weights.
Yeah.
You know, just ticking the box of like having completed a duos or a relay or something like that, maybe. But in CrossFit, like you almost can get one of those milestones ticked off every single week, just by the
100%.
variety of training. You know, like it's just something
Yeah.
maybe you haven't done for 6 months, and it comes up, and your base fitness has improved. So all of a sudden you've found a new skill or broken a PB, or you repeat something and you take a couple of seconds off your time and things like that. So there is like that rewards element of it. Yeah, definitely.
I think so. I think I try to tell people that, when I'm coaching or there's a new member coming to the gym and we're having a chat and welcoming them to the gym. I try and say that every time is don't worry about anything. Don't worry about the scales. Don't worry about how you look. Don't worry about anything. Just keep turning up. Get addicted to improving yourself and chasing those skills, and everything else just falls into place.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So another criticism I've heard of HYROX is that it's bad, not because of the time domain or because in essence it's testing your running capacity, but the fact that it's the same every time. And like we have this expression, constantly varied functional fitness, preparing ourselves for the unknown and the unknowable. So going into something where you know what it's going to be time after time after time is a bad thing. What do you think about that?
I'm probably down the middle a little bit on this one. So I think the constantly varied stuff is excellent for training, sharpening your body, being able to deal with any circumstance, rep range, time domains, weights, skill levels, and I'm all for it. And I think that's a really good way of training to get really fit. But there has to be a time where we measure things. So we do it in CrossFit anyway, don't we? With our benchmark workouts. We do Fran yearly, we do Murph yearly. We compare our times, don't we? It's the same movements. I think with HYROX, I think if I used to do it all the time, I'd get bored of it. But it does give you something to measure your improvements off, doesn't it? Same as maxing your clean, maxing your snatch. We're chasing the weights, but I think you're just chasing times. And it does get people hooked on fitness. So it's the same for like triathlon. People just chasing times all the time. I think that probably an attraction for some people as well. So the fact that you know what you're going to get every time, and that you know that there's an obvious progression. There's some if you're speaking to a hardcore HYROX person, they're on about rock zones and transitions and stuff like that, and that varies at times. But really, it's just the same, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Charlotte and I actually did have an argument about this last week. She was adamant that no one could describe HYROX as CrossFit because of its constantly never-changing nature. But again, something that's fundamental in the methodology of CrossFit is to go back and to repeat things, and is to test and retest yourself. So there is that constantly varied, known and unknowable.
Yeah, and this just came to me now. And if you're looking at somebody who's doing HYROX training, even though the movements are the same, their training is varied. So they change the rep scheme, they change the time domains, the pattern of the movements. They'll introduce ergs into it. So the training is varied. It's just the test is the same.
Yeah. And when you've got a very specific idea of what you're training for, that changes the training, like the sports specificness of it, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. So you can probably say the training is varied, but the test is the same.
Yeah.
So,
but
constantly varied training, CrossFit, is the way forward for HYROX.
Absolutely. With some run days, very specific run days, and doing,
a lot of running.
Like you say, varied running, like we've been doing with the Mayhem, but maybe a little bit more volume.
Morgan. Yeah, but it
But
really depends what you want out of it.
we've been doing it for years and years with CrossFit. Like you say, that we have something like a Murph where basically we all just know that it's there in the culture that you're going to do Murph every year, or Chad, or like you say, have a benchmark like Fran or what have you, or even I remember when we were using comp train in the gym, you could tell that the training differed in the run up to the open, not because we knew what the open was going to be, but even within the constantly varied, you know what sort of things you're going to be tested
Yeah.
at. And everything started becoming a little bit more preparation. And in that sense, CrossFit Open sports specific, or in the run up to Murph, we're doing a heck of a lot more pull-ups and press-ups and maybe a bit more distance running, because you know you're going to be doing it. So why not prep for it? And
Yeah. 100%.
yeah. Okay, well, let's leave HYROX to one side and
Okay.
just get to know you a little bit more as a member of our CrossFit community and as a coach. What was it that drew you into CrossFit in the first place? What was your first encounter with CrossFit?
So my first encounter, so before CrossFit, it was all more or less rugby. So as a child, football, cricket, rugby, any sport I could play, I'd play. And then as I got into sort of youth, seniors, it was all rugby then. Committed to that. Rugby then, so Muzz was our coach in rugby. Muzz joined the gym in CrossFit when it first opened, or very, very soon, links with Gary and Michelle. And then during our winter periods around Christmas time, January, when the weather was cool really bad, we would train once on the field, and as I say, the field on a Tuesday night, Muzz got us down in the CrossFit gym then, where Emma took my first session then through the rugby club. And I was like, I remember waiting to go in and seeing everybody throwing these weights around and being like, bloody hell, what's all this about? They're all animals. And then going in then and doing sessions with her. And that was my first experience then.
So you do CrossFit because Hendy's pitch is too boggy in the winter.
Nothing to do with Hendy. Nothing to do
Oh,
with
is it not
Hendy.
Hendy?
Muzz
I
might.
don't know why I assumed
No,
that.
no. Yeah, that's a bad assumption. That one, Sammy.
Sorry, mate.
Gary would like that one. He'd be laughing at this. No, Ponted Lice I am. So the other side of the bridge.
Oh, no, I'm such a header. Yeah, of course I knew that. Wow, can't
The
even
best
blame
side
it
of the
on me.
bridge.
But that was the, it wasn't even as intentional as these lads need to. I've discovered CrossFit, we're going to be an amazing team if we start doing some of this base fitness. It was as practical as the pitch can't take us playing on it this often, so we need to do something
More or
else.
less, yeah. Yeah,
That's
and I
amazing.
think Muzz must have seen it as, instead of going over the comprehensive school and just doing their own thing, let's really invest into it and have some more structure to it. And you must have believed the CrossFit was the way forward, and I think it was.
So were you having team classes then, or were you
Yeah.
just all jumping in on the
No,
regulars?
no, it'd have been team classes. So there'd been a class of 5, class of 6, and then we'd have been on then about 7:15, I think.
Okay.
Maybe it'd be a Tuesday.
So when did you go along off your own back for the first time?
So my job at that time was an on-call firefighter, so I was quite restricted to the village. And then maybe a year or two later, I said to myself, as soon as I finished with the on-call here in Pontylice, that I had more time to free up so I could travel out of the area. I'm joining because I loved it. So I waited probably 18 months, close to 2 years, and then as soon as my circumstances changed, I was like, right, straight to the gym, and then didn't look back then.
When was the first time you ever watched a CrossFit documentary?
I didn't watch any documentaries whilst playing rugby, I think. And then I went to get started CrossFit to get better at rugby and invest into it. I thought, right, this is going to get me nice and fit. Within a month, probably, watched the documentary and was again more and more invested into it. Loved it more and more. And then it was a case of the rugby is now getting in the way of the CrossFit.
Yeah.
So let's knock the rugby on the head and kind of enjoy my training and enjoy this new sport that I found.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what would it look like for you to choose, a WOD comes up, you go into the Southwest regionals. I don't know whether they've announced what they're doing or what have you, but like
Not yet.
WOD one, what does Rhys Samuel want it to be? I mean, time domain, movements included, like scoring system, what would you want it to be?
If we are going for the W, then it's going to have to be something with a long row, something that's a bit grindy. So anything around the 20-minute mark. So and maybe all machines. So maybe something like they did in the French throwdown, where it was 3 machines, maybe a echo bike, a row, and then a C2 bike. A little bit like a long acid bath. So
Mhm.
maybe like a 2K, a 1K, and a 1K. Something that's really going to hurt and be miserable, but something that you can sustain a really hard pace for. That's would probably be a better one for me, but not probably the most enjoyable, because you know it's going to suck.
And if there was one CrossFit movement you could delete forever and it would never come up again, what would that
Easy.
be?
Strict handstand push-ups. Easy. Easy. Get rid of them.
Yeah. Do you know,
Too long limbs for that stuff. Just can't keep up.
I remember judging you on the quarterfinals 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, and it
I
was
remember it.
I think it was kipping, strict, and then wall facing. So
Yeah.
I'm not gonna give away what you did, but I can believe that you wanted to delete that. You didn't enjoy it.
I completely fall apart on them.
Yeah.
Not scared to say it. Useless.
So, if there's somebody in our box and they're thinking about, "Oh, should I should I give a HYROX a go?" What would you say?
Yeah, go for it. Go for it. Do it. Enjoy it. Come back to CrossFit.
Yeah.
Would be
I
my
think
my advice.
my
Don't be scared of
philosophy.
it. See it as a challenge, and then you should come back.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things we don't do very well when we get, like, into CrossFit is, like, use the fitness that it gives us more broadly. Like, we're afraid to then step back out.
Yeah,
Um,
I probably
maybe.
use Mark. You can use Mark Davis as a great example of that, can't you?
Mhm.
With all the rowing that he's doing at the minute, and seeing he won some competition the weekend, or first, second, and third, maybe. I think I've seen in his Instagram story. So he's using his CrossFit training and the rowing and the Concept 2 machine, and he's using it outside the gym now, and
Yeah.
everybody's chuffed for it.
Yeah.
He's doing really well.
And I think, like, we should, I don't know, is this the right way of expressing it? It feels like a very 2025 thing of saying, but, like, normalize using our fitness outside of the gym, celebrating that, but not
Yeah,
thinking that it's in some way rivaling, um,
yeah,
being a CrossFitter.
yeah. I think CrossFit creates the fittest athletes in the world. Don't be scared to challenge yourselves doing non-CrossFit things, and don't forget where you got the fitness from.
Mm. So what would you say to someone in the gym who has done a high rocks recently or has got a sim coming up or what have you, does it and thinks, do you know what? That's what I'm after. None of this CrossFit nonsense. None of the open and weights that I can't lift and gymnastic movements I can't do. I'm just going to go and do that for the rest of my life. What would you say to that person?
That's a tough one. That's a tough one. I think for the trade, if you want to keep competing in it, fantastic. I think it's keeping you motivated. I think it's going to keep you off your bum, off the sofa, and can you stay nice and fit and healthy for it. I think use CrossFit as the best training methodology to support that, and then put your sport specific training into it if that's what you really want.
Well, that
I
was
think
very
that's
polite. I don't think Andy would have been that polite.
no, I've got Andy's answer written down here, but I flicked it over. I said, nah, I do my own.
Yeah, there we go. All right. Well, mate, thank you very, very much for jumping on. Well
No
done
problem
with
at all.
High
No,
Rocks.
thank you very much.
And how
I have
long
to learn how to
until the
actually learn
Southwest
how to count my laps now.
How long until the Southwest Regional?
Southwest Regional is August, so I think it's the 16th, 17th that weekend.
So there's
So
quite a few folks taking part in that, right?
yeah,
And
me,
there's
Hannah, Jess, Cass, Ash, I think are the ones. Hopefully I haven't left anybody else that I don't know about. But yeah, full steam ahead now.
Awesome. Yeah, well, best of luck, and
Thank you
thanks
very
for
much.
coming on, Proud.
No, thank you very much.
Peace.
If you've got any injuries or niggles, just let me know and we'll work around it.
Cool. So, Rhiannon, we have had a little busy period in the life of the gym. We had our own comp. We had a lot of people competing down in CrossFit Pembrokeshire. Some people went off to Cardiff to have fun doing something. Other people went to stand on podiums in the jungle or something like that. So we're in like the midst of a bit of a competition season. And there are 2 competitions coming up that are particularly relevant to folks at CrossFit Llanelli. So do you want to tell us about some of the things that are coming up?
Yeah, so the first big thing we've got coming up is an online competition that we will do in the box, or they can be held in affiliates. They must be CrossFit affiliates across the world. And it's going to be over the week from the 9th till the 15th of June. We'll have 3 workouts to do, and it'll be the CrossFit Community Cup. So the idea here is now a follow-on from the Open. So I think it means that more people across the world will compete. And previously when we had the quarterfinals, it eliminated a lot of people, and then the semi-finals obviously eliminated a lot more people. But now, without the quarterfinals, we've got these workouts for the Community Cup, which everyone who submitted 3 workouts for the Open will be able to do. Submitted scores for their 3 workouts. So you will have been assigned a level based on your 3 results for the Open. Okay, so we've got rookie, novice, intermediate, advanced, and then pro. I think those are the levels.
Right.
Yeah. So depending on how well you did, you'll be assigned a level. And in the Community Cup, you are only going to be ranked against the people of that level. So who had similar scores to you in the Open.
So I think for me, there's 2 really class parts about that. Number 1, the Open is an annual checkup, a chance to use competition, however seriously you want to take that competition, to be something that spurs you on for training and kind of pushing yourself to get the best scores and times, which you don't necessarily do just an average class, and nor should you do every single class. But the Community Cup being brought in is like that extra opportunity. If you don't want to go and compete in person in various competitions, what have you, then it's there. But one of the recurring complaints people have when they visit competitions, or even when they compete at CrossFit Llanelli, is people sort of not being in the right categories. And you always think you justify yourself why you're in the category you're in, and nobody better than you should be in it. And that's just something that you cannot police on a local competition level. But in theory, as long as no one's been that absurd to send in rubbish scores for the Open, you will be competing against people in a level appropriate scaling of the workout against people who are of a similar level than you. And we're going to get through it.
Yeah, I think that's brilliant. I had a member this week come to me and say that she was nervous that there were toes to bar in her level. I think she was intermediate, and maybe wrong, but and she was shocked there was toes to bar. And she says that she either doesn't have toes to bar or is just getting to them. But the cool thing is everyone in that category is probably at the same-ish sticking point as this lady is. So everyone in that category is going to be aiming to get their first toes to bar, or, only having a few reps. And I just think that's so cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And the plan is we're going to be doing these workouts as part of the regular class in CrossFit Llanelli anyway, with Friday night, which, my days, if it starts on the 12th, that's the Monday, finishes
that's
on
the 9th, sorry. The 9th.
That's on the 9th. Finishes on the
15th.
I can't do the 15th, that's the Sunday. What date is the Friday?
the Friday, the 13th.
13th.
Friday the
Yeah, Friday
13th.
the 13th. We're going to have Friday Night Lights, basically, which
Yes,
is
we're
going to
going to
be the
do the
third
final
workout.
workout Friday Night Lights. Yes.
Yeah. So if you have completed the open, then you might as well take part. And even if you haven't, like, get this mindset of doing these 3 scored workouts, whatever level you want, at least then you'll be able to kind of get a taste and a measure of where you stack up against
Yeah, and hey,
everyone
maybe
else.
it'll inspire you to do the open next year then if you sort of, because that's what it's all about, isn't it? It's that sort of feeling of doing the open in the gym. That there's nothing like it. And I just think hopefully this week, from the 9th till the 15th of June, that week, those 3 workouts, getting those that will bring the same energy, you know?
Yeah. And just to be clear, if people can't do them on the days, like work life won't allow them to be there, say
Yeah.
on a Wednesday to do or whatever it is,
Yeah.
as long as they're done and judged by somebody else in the gym and submitted before the Sunday night, you're in and you can take part.
Absolutely. Yeah. I hope we'll do them Monday, Wednesday, Friday. That's to be confirmed. But I know for a fact I don't train on a Wednesday because of work and life commitments. So I'll be doing Wednesday's workout maybe during Thursday lunchtime open gym or something like that.
Yeah.
So we will have to, move things
Yeah.
around.
Awesome. So jumping from then or now, because that's basically going on as we speak, a little bit ahead to the summer. The next CFL series is going to look a little bit different. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yes, we have decided. We had a chat in a coaches and owners meeting a couple of weeks ago, and we've decided to make it in-house only. So it will be mixed ability pairs, but same sex. And the thing is that we're going to choose the pairs. So once we know who signed up, we're going to try and pair members fairly so that we've got a higher level athlete with a more novice or a more of a beginner athlete. And that way, I think it will create some excitement because, you know, we're not going to know who's going to win. It's not going to be your obvious athletes at the top of the podium. And yeah, I think it'll just be an exciting day. We hope by doing it in-house like this that we get those members, those of you who are too scared or too anxious and you don't want to compete in an external comp or in a competition where there will be other athletes competing and spectating. We hope we're going to get you in to compete. I think I can think of a few already who have said they're going to do this, who were a bit too nervous to do our last comp and the Pembrokeshire comp. So
Yeah, that's great. And I think another thing that does hold people back is that fear of asking somebody else to be their partner. And, oh, will they accept me? Will they reject me? You just put your name in the hat and we hand it over to the coaches. And I really like this
so
idea of
true.
you guys. You watch us, you work with us, you see our scores on the scoreboard, so you know basically what we're about, of you kind of matchmaking in that sense to make it as close a day and as close a competition as possible. I really like the idea of that.
Yeah.
So
And hopefully we'll have some food and some drinks afterwards, and it'll be a slightly shorter competition day, so it won't be that long, 8 until 5. We're thinking hopefully more like 11 till 3, and then we'll have some time afterwards to have some food and drinks.
yeah, that's amazing. But there'll be more information about that as the time approaches. But
Yes.
people can already sign up on Team Up.
Team up, please, so that we can get everyone's names. And then once we've got the final numbers, we will give a deadline in the coming weeks. We'll then pair you up. And then once you're paired, we'll ask you to sign up on Competition Corner, okay? In your pair. And that way then you can come up with your team name and bond and train perhaps and practice with your new buddy.
Amazing. Okay. So Community Cup, you're doing it anyway if you come to class. So sign up if you can. And mixed abilities in-house, same sex, happening in August. That's August the 9th. That's where I've got the 9 from, is it? Or is it
That's
June
August the
9th as well?
9th. Yes, correct.
Confused
August the
dates.
9th is the mix. And the other thing I just want to say is a lot of people will say, why have I got to pay to enter these things? Why should I pay to enter the Community Cup? Why can't I just do the workouts? no one would think twice about paying to enter a 10K or a 5K. So just think of it as that. Thank you.
Yeah, indeed. Absolutely, indeed. Okay. Grand. Well, thank you, Rhiannon,
Lovely.
and
Check
see
'em
you on
out.
the leaderboard.
Yes.